How do you do, ladies and gentlemen? What's the real truth about Citizen Kane?
It'll probably turn out to be a very simple thing.
Hey everybody, hope you're doing well. I'm Parker.
And I am Count Vladislav Dragulia, born 1422, murdered 1462.
And welcome back to another episode of Better Than Citizen Kane, the highly subjective show where we look at a movie and ask that titular question. Because when every movie ever made is a reasonable contender for the title of greatest film of all time, you have to wonder, better than Citizen Kane.
So, grab your automatic crossbow, grappling gun, spinny saws, and holy water, because this week we're heading to Transylvania to slay the son of the devil as we discuss Van Helsing 2004 with our good friend Wil Cowser. Will's back on the show.
We got Will back!
Will's back.
Will's back for the annual check-in. He has to make sure that he can keep his half of the Aud Bros name on this product and isn't ashamed of us.
Yeah, this
I'm just checking in. A health inspection.
Like a health inspection.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's good.
There will be a big paper with a C grade stapled to the next episode.
Oh, I see. Okay, noted. That makes a lot of sense, I think.
And I also, that's why I didn't do an accent on the intro. I was like, I just want to keep it clean.
Yeah, the boss is in town. We can't. No bits, no goofs.
I've got strong opinions on Transylvanian accents as well.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, so
you are the regional authority.
Yeah. For those not in the know, Will is Dracula, so... No. Yeah, welcome to the show, everybody. Good vibes. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
I suppose. Ooh. It's the week of... Ooh, spooky. We've been doing our little Halloween block.
All Hallows Eve.
All Hallows Eve block for the last 3 weeks. 5 weeks? How many have we done? I don't know. 4.
It all blends.
I don't know. And we're at wrapping with Van Helsing.
What a way to close.
Which is obviously one of the greatest films ever made. No reason to explain why it's here, except for the fact that, yes, we do. This is not one of the greatest films of all time. Parker, talk about what you've done to so many people.
This is crazy. So going in, I was like, I want to be prepared. And I'm like, I'll write down some questions. I've written down 2 questions.
Yeah, what do you got?
And question number 1 is, why do you keep doing this to me? And I want a real answer. And question 2 is, exactly when does this movie lose you? And we'll get into that later. But
I have thoughts on that.
Okay,
that is the question.
Why
do you do this?
Why do you do this to me and have done this to me for maybe half a decade?
For like 5 years now.
Yeah,
you've been doing this to us.
A long time I've been doing this to you guys. Okay, so this all starts way back in high school with me and a couple friends up in Rexburg, Idaho. And I cannot remember which one of us discovered this movie first, but it was 3 of us. It was me, my friend Lizzie, and my friend Draven. And one of us watched this movie first and was like, you have to watch this bonkers bad movie. And then it just became something we loved to do around the Halloween season. We would just watch this. And I have always had a very skewed perception on what everybody in popular culture does or doesn't know. Because again, I'm like, oh, well, obviously every 15-year-old Royal American child has watched Harold Lloyd in Safety Last. Obviously they know references of him hanging from the clock, and that's not true. And I had a similar experience where I was like, well, I mean, it's the guy who did the Mummy. Everybody knows Van Helsing, and that also is not true. And so from there, it has just become a thing that has been so much fun to subject people I know to, because all of your reactions are always sublime. They're perfect. And the thing is that, like, I don't know, maybe you guys should have been speaking up louder if this was actually something that was awful for you. But so far, the consensus has been with my friends is that they're like, wow, what a bad movie, and what a great time with a big group of friends riffing on this bad movie together, And from there,
I think it hit different this time being alone in my dark room
I can
watching
imagine
this
that
movie.
being really rough.
This is a communal centerpiece.
Yeah.
You can forge community around this movie. and it became... You used an interesting verb, and it was to subject.
Yeah.
When talking about this film, there's movies you show people, and there's movies you subject people to. And in your intro, it's like every movie is a reasonable contender. This was the first time I thought about that word reasonable, and it's like, is this reasonable? But also, at some point on the other end of my second question, there is a point where you are like, is this the best movie ever made? It goes there for just enough amount of time.
It hit me this time that I like several parts of this movie because before now I had been surrounded by a group of people, all of whom were trying to get their word in, roasting it and tearing it to pieces. And I didn't watch this alone. I did watch this as Stephen Sommers intended with my dad.
Huge.
Which is better than being alone. And now I do think, Parker, at some point we will make you watch this alone in the dark.
You don't understand. I've been there. I've lived it.
God.
Yeah. Yeah, truly.
I don't know how to come back from that.
I mean, in fairness, I think it's probably easier watching this alone by yourself in a dark room when you're like, 16. Whereas subjecting 28-year-old Wil, Wil and I saw each other at the beginning of this month. We were up in Oregon for a project that we got hired for, and I asked Wil if he was willing to come on and do this, and you looked so enthusiastic saying, yeah, no, I'd love to come back on. And then I watched the light drain from your eyes when you realized, oh, I'm going to have to watch this by myself because you're not here and Rio won't watch this with me.
No, she's done. She did her 2 or maybe 3 years and will never go back.
Never doing it again.
We've served tours in Van Helsing.
You really have.
How long were you in Van Helsing? I did 4 years. 4 years in Van Helsing. 5 years if you, I guess 4 years if you count this year. No, I mean, here's the thing is Parker, to answer your lingering question of, do you guys actually hate doing this? No. But when you have such an excitement for sharing it with new people, Parker has since moved across the country, and he texted me, and he was like, when I said, I'm watching it tonight with my dad, he said, I'm showing it to Ellie's cohort tomorrow, and I can't wait. Yeah. And I was like, you're salivating, you're
sick.
You sicko.
Yeah, I'm a sadist.
You absolute sicko. But here's the thing, right, is I had seen a good chunk of Van Helsing when I was younger because we had TV and my dad caught a bit of it on TV when I was 8 or 9, and I saw when they're approaching the castle and they're like, what is in these weird flesh sacks, and I'd seen that, and then years later Parker was like, well, for my Halloween party we always watch Van Helsing, we're gonna watch Van Helsing. I was like, that sounds fun. And it was, and I've had a good time. So all this to say, yes, Parker, it is fun to watch this movie and tear it apart. I'm concerned that for the last 3 watches I had, it was 1 star, and this time it went up by 1 whole star. Whoa. And I'm just afraid of what that means for me. Yeah. Because that could mean that in 6 more watches, this is a 3 or 4 star movie.
Again,
I think 1 star is such an underrating. 2 stars makes sense. I'm sure one of you has seen my letterbox. I don't remember what I did on there. It could be anywhere between 1 and 3, but
it's this interesting effect that this film has, because there was a time period where I'd watched this enough in high school that I started to unironically really enjoy this movie. Yeah. And this was a 3.5, 4 star. And then I sobered up, I grew up, and I realized that it was time to become a man.
You realized
part of becoming a man is
you realized that the
woke
left had been lying to
you.
Yeah,
the liberal mind virus was too much for me, and I needed to step away. Well, you gave this 1.5.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I was like, 1 is way too low.
Yeah,
1.5. Yeah, 2 we're talking. I saw this movie. I think this was an early blockbuster, maybe a red box for me the first time I ever saw it in high school, junior high with some friends. And I specifically remember getting really bored and walking away and playing pool or something at my friend's house. But I do remember grabbing it and putting it in. My friend was like, "Oh, sick! This is the movie where he has like an automatic crossbow," and I thought, cool. And then, as a youth, it lost me, like after Jekyll and Hyde, I think immediately. But
yeah,
interesting. Yeah, I think, I think we can definitely get into that really quick. Parker, do you have any like prefacing of how this movie came to be before we get into, because I have a lot of notes that I want to share as we summarize, because I don't think we'll actually read through a summary this time.
So the two things to start as we go into that. First, the final note on this communal experience that I will share is that this movie is RRR's Wario in that sense. It is the Antichrist communal watch 100%. And that's exactly what I get out of it, is that I do subject people to this. I spread it like the plague, because unlike RRR, where I get to watch people lock in and then we get to the halfway point and freak out, that it's like, what do you mean? There's still an hour and a half left of this. That wasn't the climax. How is there
another hour of this movie?
Yeah, like Van Helsing, like maybe 2/3 of the way through, one of the new people watching it this time, one of our friends went, "This movie feels like it's 4 hours. Like, I know we haven't been here that long, but man, I just feel like I've been sitting here forever."
You really start to feel it.
You really start to feel it. So that's what I'll say about the communal experience. As for prefacing of how this got here, so this is written and directed by Stephen Sommers, most well known for the Brendan Fraser Mummy film, specifically the first one. Also did the sequel, the second one, didn't come back for the third. But this is essentially his victory lap off of the Mummy films. Like, those do so well and are just like really big box office hits that he essentially gets a blank check. He basically just gets to be like, yeah, make whatever you want. And at the same time, Universal, it's so interesting studying Universal as a studio, because, and we're seeing it to this day, they've built an entire wing of their theme park around the monster catalog from the 30s. Like, these films that they're riffing on are almost 100 years old at this point, but it's something they just keep coming back to. And that was still the case in the early 2000s as well. They wanted to do the Marvel Cinematic Universe before the MCU. It was this idea of, okay, how are we going to take this catalog and update it for a fresh new audience? And they said, hey, Steven hit it out of the park with The Mummy. Let's give him the reins to this thing and let him go nuts. And this was designed to be a franchise starter. They had already greenlit a sequel immediately. They kept the sets around for that sequel and for a television show called Transylvania that was going to shoot and use those same sets. There is a 30-minute animated short that was a backdoor pilot for a TV show that I cannot find anywhere. I want to watch. Well, I want to watch the London assignment so bad, but I can't find it. And yeah, like, it just, they were setting this thing up in every possible way to be the beginning of their first attempt at what we now would call the Dark Universe, right? Like, it's like, okay, so Van Helsing is the figurehead, and then we're going to bring in the Gill Man, and then we're going to bring in, Frankenstein's monster will be a recurring character, and we'll get the Invisible Man, and we'll get, all this other stuff. And it just clearly didn't work out. 2 weeks after this movie opened, they pulled the plug on the sequel and on the TV series. They just said, this isn't going to work. This isn't at all performing the way we want it to. But like, they went in with every level of confidence in that. And that's really the assignment that Sommers had, was just, okay, you have the entire back catalog of Universal monsters. Use what you want. Yeah. And he kind of used like 3/4 of it out the gate, which I think is part of the problem with this movie, right?
But like, I mean, if you give someone the box of all their toys,
truly,
and say, you can play around, they're not going to be like, I'll play with one toy at a time, each time.
I don't think anyone had that idea like until Kevin Feige. Like, that is such a an underrated idea that like billion-dollar industry was founded on with Marvel, but yeah, I think
wild because the original Universal films stumbled into doing that, right?
Yeah.
Like they initially were just like, we have all these different guys, and then they started being like, what if this guy hung out with the other guy? And like the fact that they lost sight of that and were like, let's just like throw them all in, you know? And then did it again 13 years after this movie. And we're like, well, what if Tom Cruise is the Mummy and he meets Jekyll and Hyde, who's Russell Crowe?
So here's a fun little fact for you. The Mummy started as a Van Helsing reboot. Like just straight up, the same director, Tom Cruise, was attached as Van Helsing. In 2015, that fell through, and that project morphed into becoming The Mummy. The Mummy was supposed to be Van Helsing 2.0, essentially.
You know,
which is crazy.
The curse of Van Helsing is that it's a great idea. It is candy to a studio. It is a perfect concept, and sometimes the idea in the first hour, sometimes that idea gets you more excited than the film, and you trick yourself into thinking you love it. But it just can't live up to that idea. The main thing I was thinking is like watching it is that it just every frame looks like it would be the best storyboard ever. And it just takes a special kind of person. It's a hard choice to look at your film and be like, this is a graphic novel. This is not a film.
That's why I want to watch this animated
novel
thing.
Ever.
Yeah, I want to watch this 30-minute animated short because I'm like, is this better as like an edgy 2000s MTV TV show? Like, is this better as like Spawn, you know?
I think it can be better in a lot of, like, there's so many different mediums, because also I was like, oh, this is like the Arkham engine. Yeah. Like, if you did a Van Helsing game with like the Arkham games engine, like that would also rule. Like, there are so many versions of this that maintain the appeal of the concept.
Yeah.
I do just love kind of looking at this movie and being like, here's the thing that like really gets me. And I think I'm basically going to answer Will's question really quick. Of his second question of like, when does this movie lose you? And for me, it's like, I'm in for the first 20 minutes of this movie of like, it's very campy. Some of the effects don't look great, but also they do like a physical explosion of a model for the tower.
Yeah, there's a surprising amount of model work in this movie.
Yeah, and like that's so rad. And then like we leave black and white, and you get like Alan Silvestri doing like Age of Mythology music.
The music kind of slaps.
The classical guitar, whatever that is.
Yeah, the guitar riff is so good.
Is so good. And like I'm so vibing immediately where I'm like, hell yeah. And you get like the Wanted poster, you get like big CGI Hyde. And here's the thing, for 2004, it doesn't look all that bad.
Yeah.
Like, especially when you consider like Mummy Returns is 3 years before this.
I think so.
3 or 4. And it's like this, clearly they had time to do Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah.
I don't know if they had time to do everything.
Which, by the way, do you guys know? Because I didn't. I've been watching this movie for decades. I didn't clock this. Do you know who plays Hyde?
Never once thought about it.
That's Robbie Coltrane. That's Hagrid himself.
Oh, okay. I can hear that in the voice. Yeah.
It's great. Like, I was just watching the behind the scenes, and they were like doing mocap of his face. I was like, huh?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. It's crazy.
That's very fun.
But no, I totally agree with you guys. And
that's
like,
so fun. And then I just want to get into like him doing the confession booth, and like that whole interaction I think is really fun. And then going and being like, what if it's MI6, but it's every religion is working together? Because I had not clocked before that a lot of different religions are here.
Oh yeah.
And it's like the order, and like, it's just fun to be like, well, what if there's like
it a lot.
What about like steampunk Q giving Van Helsing Bond a bunch of gadgets? Like, that is, I'm always in for that. And then it's basically the minute that Kate Beckinsale and her gorgeous locks appear on screen that I go, okay.
All right.
And then she has, anyway, we'll get into that. But that's
so
my
it's
take.
interesting you bring up the James Bond of it all, because that's what Sommers just talked about, where like, he's like, if the main reference text for the Mummy is Indiana Jones, James Bond is it for Van Helsing. Like, that is what he had in mind this whole time. And it reads 100%. Like, that is, and for me, I think that's a bit of where it loses me, is like, I lock in on the first like 15 minutes and I want him to go back to a hut and be studying books and Carl to be there as like an assistant with him, you know? Like,
I disagree.
I think that's better.
Parker, that's the Mummy again. That's
now you've gone and pissed us off, Parker, actually, because you showed us this movie and you hate it the most, I think.
I think
but actually where it loses me is you have the Universal movie recreation at the beginning that's amazing, of like, oh, it's Frankenstein, kind of like, Frankenstein meets a Dracula. This is so not an iconic Dracula at all.
Sorry, Richard.
It's a weird Dracula, sorry, but it's a Dracula.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the black and white's amazing. Everything through Jekyll and Hyde, I think, is amazing, especially the Q stuff where they do the Kuleshov effect they throw at you is Universal movie from the 30s. And then they show you Van Helsing is James Bond, and they let you go in your mind to how great this movie should be. Like, it almost hurts the movie how cool of a promise Van Helsing is James Bond is, because it never delivers on that.
Well, again,
promise.
I think it again, coming back to what you're talking about with like the Kevin Feige effect of it all, like, it feels like if this is a franchise starter as it's meant to be, like, you build to Dracula, like even the Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes you don't start with Moriarty. Like, you've got to get there, right? And it feels like this movie.
Archangels are a shark that you jump in the 5th installment.
It's true. It's the Star Trek 5 thing of like, I feel like we shouldn't. It's Supernatural season 5 as well. Like, we shouldn't hit God until number 5.
We should have had 5 of these much more concentrated, focused, small movies.
Which again is what this animated thing is. It's a prequel about him hunting Jekyll and Hyde in London before the movie starts. And I'm like, maybe that's what this was always meant to be. Maybe Van Helsing was supposed to be Monster of the Week,
Yeah. Here's my thing with it too and this is my take on what I think the fundamental flaw in Van Helsing is. And I think it speaks to, if you want it to be James Bond, why are we having like 3 different major villains at play here?
Yeah.
And why are we doing so much with lore? And why are we doing so much with all of this? And I think the ultimate problem, I would say the death knell for Van Helsing in its production, was that it was trying to be cool in 2004. And that was a terrible year to be cool.
Yeah. When
it comes to not being dated and kind of flopping at what you're if this, because you think about like The Mummy 1999, it's like, that is when, like, I know that like digital film really picks up in like 2002 with like Attack of the Clones and stuff like that. But like, and like, Captain, what's his name? Who's that guy? Who's Jude Law? Who's that guy?
Sky Captain of the World of Tomorrow.
Sky Captain of the World of Tomorrow, thank you. But like, if this is in the late 90s, fantastic.
Yeah.
If this is, I mean, even in the late 2000s, I feel like it doesn't work. And like in the 2010s, it would just be an attempt at Marvel. But like, does that make sense? Like, I feel like 2004 is the exact wrong year to be trying to make Van Helsing, because it skews everything it's trying to do into like, wouldn't it be
misogyny?
Wouldn't it be kind of sick and sexy if this happened?
Like,
and you're like, no.
Can we just real quick round robin? I was 7 when this movie came out, so there is imagery that is and always will be the coolest thing I've ever seen in this movie. Like, there are things that are cool. Just round robin, what do you think is objectively cool in this movie? Because I think, just to start it off, the best answer, the reason to watch this movie, it's the coolest costume anyone's ever had. I think the Van Helsing costume
it's fun.
Is universally sick.
Yeah.
The costume is fun. My thing that I really latch on to, and like it makes me giggle, but then I always go, I'm like, but it's time. It's like it's the perfect thing of like, is cool, but makes sense in the rules of the world you've set up. The hand-pumped saw blades are rad. I really do like the hand-pumped saw blades a lot, you know, because again, it checks all those boxes for me. Overall, just like agreeing with you, not just his costume, but like, I think the costume design is the MVP of this movie across the board. Like, these costumes are really fun. They're having a good time with them, you know?
Yeah. I think for me, like if I'm answering like as a kid, the coolest thing to me, I don't even know. I mean, like, I feel like there's something I'm forgetting, but like, I mean, like, I really like the big sun bomb in Dracula's Summer Palace. But also that palace altogether is, I think, the coolest. Like when they spin and look in the mirror and he's and like realization of everyone here is a vampire.
Yeah, no one's in that for reflection.
Is so fun and such a fun reveal. I think that's but like, would I have thought that was the coolest thing as a kid? Probably not. I would have thought fighting Hyde would have been the coolest thing.
Sure, yeah, that I did think that was cool. It never hits as cool ever again, but it is nice.
But if I'm in the mindset of like, if I watched this when I was 6, like I would have been like, that's really cool. Yeah.
See,
it's really
again,
cool that he wears a long coat and has a big hat and like fights a big guy.
Okay, but the long coat and the big hat is cool. And
that's very cool.
The other piece of this that is like a fun little social experiment for me is seeing what new people genuinely think is cool about this movie. And it is, the costumes were commented on, the hand blades were commented on. Someone really liked when Hyde's arm shrank after it got cut off. Like,
oh, no, I
do
that's
like
cool
that.
too.
They're like, I like that a lot.
The homoeroticism is always cool, and it never... it ends up being ultimately, I think it's fair to say, a pretty homophobic movie. But there are hits with how sexy everyone thought each other was on that set.
Yeah.
Outside of it being like a 2004 studio film, there's some crazy sexual energy in this movie that they just could not control in a meaningful way.
Yeah, they couldn't channel it in the right way. It's just the 2000s, so it's just like, we're just kind of sexy, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Circling back around to what you were talking about, Max, of like, this movie is trying to be cool in 2004. That was another thing that was interesting was, I think it was when Frankenstein's monster throws the giant piece of equipment and Dracula goes flying into the fireplace at the opening. One of my friends goes, is this supposed, like, does this movie know it's funny? And I said, no, this movie thinks it's badass. And they said, oh, okay.
It does not know it's funny, except for when it's winking at the camera.
Yeah, unless it's Carl, it doesn't think it's funny.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, Will, go ahead.
It's okay. We can come back to this because this is a big tangent. But on my recent rewatch, was anyone else nauseated by the stench that is on this movie of like, this must have been Viggo Mortensen at some point, right?
It had to have been.
They needed it to be Viggo Mortensen.
So,
and Hugh Jackman's, I think, not a problem.
Sure.
In this or for this, but like...
this time I was shocked that he feels stiff in this to me.
Yeah, he's
like,
not good.
I was noticing, like, there are some decent quips in this that, like, if delivered with, like, a Harrison Ford level of like kind of blasé gruffness, like peak Raiders era, would be really cool and funny and badass in a way. Like when he says, what does he say? Carl asks when he sees Frankenstein's monster, he says, "Is that a man?" And Van Helsing says, "Actually, it's 7 men, parts of them anyway." Like I'm like, there's a version of that line that works.
Sure.
Of like, no, it's like, actually it's 7, you know, like, but every time, and I also have another question for you guys about Hugh Jackman in this, but every time Hugh Jackman delivers a quip, it has more in common with like late stage Pierce Brosnan than it does with like any successful version of a hero quip in any other thing. Like it feels like he's just kind of like, yeah, and then I say a funny thing. And I'm
that is unfortunately probably the reference If you're in 2004
You're right.
and you're like,
Yeah,
I
like,
have
right.
to play a James Bond, I bet Hugh
I guess we're
Jackman
going
just
with
went and
Pierce.
watched every
Pierce
Brosnan Bond movie, which time has certainly converted into the less loved
It's true.
Bond.
I'm also baffled. My dad pointed it out this time. What accent is Hugh Jackman doing in this?
He switches all the time.
7
Yeah.
parts of them anyway.
You set him up, and that's why we bring Will on for those 3 pros, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, see you guys.
From...
Yeah. Yeah, see you.
that's good.
No,
That's good.
but like he really he just feels kind of lost in this to me. Like
Yeah.
he's cool. Hugh Jackman is cool, but he like especially compared to like even what he would be bringing to Wolverine in like 3 or 4 years after this. It's like why does he feel so it feels like he's drowning in that coat. Like he's not really
Well, it's weird.
doing a
It's weird
lot.
because I think he can't differentiate it from Wolverine because he's 2 movies deep at this point.
Yeah.
In that, and I don't think he knows how to get out of it.
Well, and if he does know how to get out of it, everyone who hired him is just hiring him to play Wolverine, and I'm sure they told him on set, like, give us a little more Wolverine, actually, Hugh.
yeah,
Yes.
totally.
Well, because also I'm just going to check really quick. Like before this, he was in like 2 films before X-Men. If we start at X-Men, which is like agreed, like that's his first movie role, basically. X-Men, and then he's like in Swordfish, he's in Kate and Leopold, he's in X2, and then he's in Van Helsing.
Yeah.
He had not done the action thing in anything else, or really done anything else. Like he did like a bit of romance there, and like Swordfish is in there, but like after
I find
this,
it so
after
interesting.
like after this is when he does The Prestige and Flushed Away and Australia, which feels like those are 3 things that are pushing him to do very different things, and that kind of opens him up more. But it feels like at this point it's like he's either going to do Wolverine or he's going to do charming Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
And this movie only wants Wolverine. It doesn't need it. But I'm like, it feels like it needs more of like Van Helsing needs to be more on his back foot more, which I feel like Hugh Jackman could have leaned into more. I don't know. I was shocked going into this time, realizing like, oh, I do think another key problem with this movie is that Hugh Jackman and Kate Beckinsale have no chemistry, which is why it's all the stranger when Kate Beckinsale has all the chemistry with the guy playing
With her brother. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
it's
Super,
crazy.
super whack.
It's nuts. Well, like no, go ahead, Will.
Oh, just my one thought with what you're talking about, Max, is watching this movie. It's also really obvious. Like, I can't tell if Hugh Jackman believes this, but it's clear that his agents and that the studio believe this is going to be the action star vehicle of Hugh Jackman. Like, this is the beginning of Hugh Jackman, the greatest action star of all time, which just is not who he is or what he likes to do or what like he excels at as an actor. I think he would have interesting thoughts on himself as an action star and like not being that iconic, but everyone who put money into this film is betting on Hugh Jackman is the next Tom Cruise.
That is a good point, because again, it's 2 X-Men's in. As far as they know, it's going to be a trilogy. All you did then was a trilogy.
Yeah.
So like they're basically like, he'll be done with Wolverine in 2 years, at which point he can keep making Van Helsings.
Well, he talks about in the making of where he's like, you know, this was a big deal for me because this is what an agent would call like a name above the title card film. He's like,
Right.
and I'd gotten offers for that before, but my agent and I had been hesitant about them. We're waiting for the right thing to roll along. He's like, and then this came and it just felt like exactly what I was looking for. I'm like, what do you mean by that? Like, what about this was like, yeah, this is the one. This is what I'm hanging my hat on.
The graphic novel was probably amazing.
I'm sure it was great.
You
like,
can imagine the pitch.
I want a Grant Morrison. Like, just like get Grant Morrison in on this immediately, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I watch this movie every time and I am so ready to roast it. And there's also the voice in the back of my head that is like, if someone gave me, what is it, $30 million, $40 million? Maybe a lot more than that. I'm
Just
trying
the
to
paycheck
adjust
or
for
the
inflation.
budget?
The budget on this.
The budget was
thing.
160 million at the time.
Yeah, if someone gave me $160 million, I'd try to make a Van Helsing. Like, it's so much aligned with
I
my
believe one of-
tastes in the abstract.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, I believe one of your reviews of the film or maybe your only review of it, I know you don't tend to do rewatches, is like, I would kill to make this movie. Like, I would
Yeah,
kill to
dude.
make a movie.
Yes, and that is right, and that stays true. Of like, it's hard for me to understand where it's lost because there's so much that
Yeah.
resonates personally.
On paper, a lot of this should work, and I do feel like a lot of it comes down to execution, quite honestly, because it is like, as much as we're razzing, as much as like, again, my preference of like what I would want the movie to be has much more to do with what we got versus just the concept. If we're going off a concept alone, I agree with you guys. Give him MI6, give him Q. Like, let's do steampunk, all religions, Vatican City, Holy
They just
War.
couldn't pull off James Bond.
Yeah, it's
in
it's
the
just
universal.
everything else kind of falls apart around that conceit, because I think the first cardinal sin of this movie is the scope is way too wide. Like,
It's really
if
big.
James Bond is their blueprint, I can understand where Stephen Sommers is coming from, where he's like, okay, I need my Blofeld and I need my arch villains. I need my Jaws, right? Like, who are the henchmen? And it's like, okay, well, yeah, let's use the Wolfman. Let's use Igor and, all this stuff. And the Wolfman being like a B plot feels like a major misstep here. Like,
It
that
does.
feels like such a huge miscalculation on this movie's part.
Which is, again,
Except
why...
that the wolf looks horrible to look at.
Yeah.
Anytime he appears on screen. So
I have a lot of questions about how he's growing human skin under his wolf skin, because it is a cool idea for the wolf to tear off its human skin and reveal itself, and you go, that's really interesting and a very interesting horror image. And then when he transforms back, he's also tearing off wolf skin?
Yeah.
So I am like, does becoming a werewolf mean that you're growing like onion layers of
Yeah, you're like a snake.
human, then wolf, then human, then wolf skin? I do find that kind of interesting.
I'm sorry. I have this playing behind me just as inspiration, just to have it
Yes.
in my brain.
Yes.
And every time I look up, I look at you guys and I'm like, but Hugh Jackman looks so cool. And then I look over and I see Hugh Jackman looking like the biggest dork in human history. Like, there's something, this movie, every time I look away from it, gains 3 stars in my head.
It's like a weird perception filter.
And it's
It really
always
is.
just so
Like,
much worse.
This movie has such an odd event horizon. Like, the closer you get to it, like, it just stretches
you
out
can kind
into
of get
infinity.
swept up in it, but then you're like, no, and then you step away and you're like, maybe it wasn't so bad.
You can't get swept up in it while you're watching.
No.
Yeah, because again, I get what you're saying, because my brain lights up and says, yeah, leather duster, wide brim fedora, cool as hell. And then I look at it in real life, I'm like, oh, goth Quaker Oats? That's what you're going in on?
Yeah, it's really bad.
It
Would the movie have
sucks.
succeeded if that were the title? Do you have it? I know you watched a whole behind the scenes. Like, I want to give
Yeah.
you time, Parker, to talk more about what you learned.
I
and
mean,
gleaned from
like,
that.
it's what's so fascinating about all this behind the scenes material is that it's broken up into segments around each of the characters, and each of these segments opens with B-roll from the Universal catalog. Like, it opens with like 2 to 3 minutes of just Bela Lugosi and Boris Karloff clips with like professors of English studies talking about the novels, and then they go into Van Helsing, right?
That's
and
how
it's
you
like,
know you made a bad movie, huh?
it's like I was telling Ellie this, like, we're watching this, I was like, it's bonkers to me that they just show me 15 collective minutes of better movies than this. And that's what they lead with every single time one of these things open. But
Yeah.
like it like watching the behind the scenes material really brings home how important it was for them that like this is a continuation of the Universal monster movies. And I don't think that reads to anybody who doesn't know that. Like, again, showing this to new people who aren't film buffs the way that we are. They're like, yeah, it's a monster movie, like They have a completely different set of associations and aren't at all thinking about Boris Karloff when they're watching Frankenstein's monster in this. They're thinking about steampunk. A lot of them were talking about like BioShock, you know, like it's like the cultural reference points have changed and Universal is unwilling to like recognize that.
Having done no research, this movie did invent steampunk, and that's pretty cool.
It did, cool. And it was the first brand integration between Universal Monsters and Xbox, because again, like I just alluded to, Frankenstein's monster is powered by the Xbox.
He has the Xbox goo.
Powered by Xbox and Mountain Dew.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We talk about where it loses us, which is like as soon as the movie actually starts, like the top of Act 1 when the prequel ends, when the prologue ends.
Yeah.
But like, at what point from The Mummy is made and is raking in the bucks, from that point to this movie does poorly, let's bury it and never look back, what does that look like? I want to see the play about the like executives who at one point are like, we're getting that Return of the King Oscar. We're winning. We're gonna follow the Best Picture win. This is where I get my Best Picture Oscar at some point to like, I have to E.T. the video game bury this in the Nevada desert.
It's a good question.
Yeah.
Like,
is it in production? Is it in post? Like, is it only once you've put this movie together
everything
do they
I could
realize
find,
it's not going to work?
Everything I could find was that they were really confident in this thing and were pushing, like the marketing was crazy.
Is it theatrical release when they realized they made the mistake? It seems
it's because it opened to #1 when on opening weekend, and then 2 weeks in they pull the plug on the sequel and the TV show. I think it is just once the critical and like audience response starts coming in and it is across the board abysmal, they realize that they overplayed their hand too much, because in their mind, they don't understand the difference between The Mummy and Van Helsing, right? They're like, well, same writer, same director, big CGI monster based on Universal, like monster movies. I don't know what you want.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, one of these...
There's a hot couple at the center.
Yeah, because like what works about the Mummy...
Gays.
Yeah, the bisexual gays will go crazy. Like what works about the Mummy, in my opinion, is that it is designed to be a 1930s serial in the same way that Raiders of the Lost Ark is, and that's what it works on that level, right? This is trying to be The Matrix. It's trying to be way too modern, but it's using old aesthetics, and I think that's where it loses a lot of it.
Yeah, because it's a James Bond film until the top of Act 1, and then like. And even you could argue, like, when he's in the village in Transylvania and, like, he and Kate Beckinsale are, like, they introduce each other. Like, you could be like, yeah, I can see that. But, like, again, where this movie immediately ditches, like, the James Bond inspiration is when we are cutting to the werewolf B-plot. Like, no, there isn't typically a story about... And even if there is, like, a story about, like, well, here's what Jaws is up to right now, it's not like they're like, get emotionally invested in Jaws. Jaws' sister is here. And she's, you know, she's...
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
I don't know, right? Like, it then, like you said, Burger, it gets really big, because then it's like, well, Dracula wants to have kids. So he needs Frankenstein's monster. But he doesn't know that. So he's going to put a man in there. Then he's going to put a werewolf in there. Then he's going to put Frankenstein's monster in there. And then the babies come to life. My first note for Dracula, put the exit to the castle closer to where the babies are, or vice versa.
Surely.
Because they were still in the castle when they shut that thing down.
Yeah.
I'm like, they didn't even have time to leave. What are you thinking? Anyway, that's my note to Dracula. I'm going to do a tight 10 on my notes to Dracula. Anyway, go ahead.
Perfect.
Will. Sorry.
No, so many things from what you just talked about. The first thing is that it does look good, but the tone of it, not the tone, but the style of acting is so early 2000s. The style of filmmaking is so uninspired by Universal filmmaking. Even the black and white sequence.
Yeah.
The guy who's playing like Dr. Frankenstein is playing like a little bit Grey's Anatomy, and it ruins the lie that like I'm looking at a Universal film.
And Richard, how do you say his last name?
Richard Roxburgh.
Roxburgh. His Dracula is baffling, because if you are trying to do Universal horror, and like Dr. Frankenstein in this movie is a little more close to like the 31 Frankenstein doctor compared to how some of these other characters look compared to what they're trying to do. But Dracula in this is like, he looks like he's going to a rave in the 90s. Like,
yeah.
And it's just kind of baffling. And then also, I guess he's not Dracula.
No, he's not. He's from a different Slavic group entirely.
He is.
It's
He's got
inexplicable.
some bonkers quotes about that, by the way.
He does.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Parker, do you want to talk about how everyone in this movie thinks that the movie is really sexy, and that was like their main goal?
Yeah. So again, maybe every other word in all this behind the scenes stuff is just somebody saying sexy, like about everything and anything. Like it's crazy. Like, this movie is so horny, and it's trying to be... It succeeds fully in what Will was talking about earlier. This movie is aimed squarely at 14-year-old boys. Like, that is the target demographic of this movie, is that it's cool action, it's hot babes, it's sexy,
It's Xbox.
It's Xbox.
It's Xbox.
Like, it's all of these things. And
it's 1931 Frankenstein, which all 14-year-old
boys love. But like that's what, like, I think that you guys put this so well that like stylistically it is so uninterested in those films. It is just interested in
being 2004.
In being 2004. Like it wants so badly. It's shocking to me that there's not frosted tips somewhere in this movie. You know what I mean? Like it feels like
The Undertaker.
Hey.
The Undertaker's got like bleached white hair.
The Undertaker getting killed, rolling into a grave, arms closed, his hat on a cross is the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. That is the best part of this movie.
And again, the movie has a sense of humor sometimes, but then there's so much of it that is not meant to be funny that really just gets you. And like, coming back to this idea of what they were trying to get out of it, I think that the most telling thing that you can say about this is in the making of, they talk about the monster design. They have this whole featurette on all the different monsters, and they talk about the werewolves, and they're showing the werewolves off, and they're talking about the transformation and the skin peeling and how they're very like, they're like, well, we a lot of this team worked on the mummy, and there's a lot of jackal in there, like there's a lot of Anubis going on. And they wanted them to be really grimy and gross. And like, the word I use is like, it looks spaghetti-y to me. Like he's stringy and wet, and I don't like him very much. But they get to Hugh Jackman, and the VFX guys say, Steven's number one mandate was that Hugh's werewolf had to be sexy. It had to be hot. So like, he's just this gorgeous, lush mane, and we gave him, he's got the broad shoulders and the huge chest, and like, when he transforms at the end after, killing Anna, we need this romance cover, of like him howling at the moon. And that's not like horrific. They're like, that transformation can't be horrific. It needs to be sexy. It needs to be like the hair falls off him and it reveals Hugh Jackman's bare, broad chest. It's like, guys, this movie's for 14-year-olds and it's for horny 14-year-olds. Like it feels like such the MO of the film.
Crazy to make the creative decision of like, werewolves too gross, too unsexy. In order to keep this looking hot, let's just give him a second layer of skin under his first layer of skin.
Yes.
And that'll keep it sexy. Like,
that'll keep it sexy.
No one will be grossed out at all.
I hadn't noticed before. I'd seen a clip, or maybe Parker, you sent it to me or something, but like when Hugh Jackman transforms back into himself after, he's been given the werewolf cure.
Yeah.
He's meant to be naked.
Yeah.
But they have CGI pants on it.
Yeah, they CGI'd pants
and
on
I
him.
had not really caught the CGI pants before, and I loved that. I loved seeing that.
Yeah.
So if we know that their goal is to pay homage to the 1930s Universal films, but also their main criteria for every part of the movie is to be sexy. And it was 2004. I feel like we're pretty primed to just do a quick run through of the movie.
Sure.
Which is to say, we've already covered the first act. We know the first act. That's done. But I will say this, terrible implications for the Catholic Church to have a big metal gate that blocks an exit from the confessional booth.
Yeah.
Is that in all of them? Is it just that one?
It's a good question.
And then they go down. Catholics. And we pretty quickly get introduced because Carl says, no, sorry, it's like the priest or whoever he's the bishop, whoever's talking to, who says, you already lost your memory as penance for your past sins. And I did forget that was so early in the film.
Yeah, they dropped that pretty quick. And also we get they're little back and forth, but he does say Cardinal. He's a cardinal. There we go. Cardinal Jeanette says, when we found you crawling up the steps of this church half dead, it was clear to all of us that you had been sent to do God's work. I go, wait, so you guys saw a half-dead man on the street trying to get in, and you guys were like, this is clearly God's favorite action hero.
Is the implication too, and maybe this is just me being illiterate, but is the implication as well that we're supposed to be deceived into thinking they found him as a baby and like raised him in this? You know what I mean? Like, because we don't know at this point that he's like an immortal
that's
God
true.
man.
I hadn't thought about that.
I don't know that I've ever read it that way, but that's fascinating.
Yes, I think that is a fair read.
And they're like, this baby shall be our vengeance.
Yeah.
Yes. I do really like that they also in this little section they introduce, they're like, we want you to kill monsters, and he's like, you don't have to be, you're not the one who stands there and watches them die. They're people. And then he proceeds to kill many monsters.
And feels no empathy for the rest of the movie.
Until he gets to Frankenstein's monster, and then he goes, wait. But I also
after he tries to kill Frankenstein's monster multiple times.
Yeah, he does try. He's like, wait, actually, it's a person. Never mind. I do think it's interesting. I caught this time that it's also like monks and, Islamic folk. And also I had never somehow caught in the subtitles, what in the name of Allah is wrong with you?
I was so hoping you'd bring that up.
Which is just a great line. Kind of bonkers that someone is saying that in a studio
in
picture in 2004.
Yeah.
But, I'm not going to give them credit for that.
No.
It's pretty buried in the mix. What do we think about David Wenham as Carl in this movie?
I think he's having a fun time, man.
That's a good take. He is having fun.
I think he's having a great time.
We can support him in that.
Yeah.
And
he
like
doesn't
a pretty
make me laugh
no,
very
it's
much.
Like,
no.
But I like that he's in it.
What's so interesting is, again, if we are going off of Universal and Stephen Sommers' headspace, coming off of The Mummy, this is the Benji character. This is the comic relief guy, which is ironic because Benji's in this movie as Igor. Like, they just got him here again, but they're not letting him do, like, he tries, The one that does get me every time in this movie, though, is at the end, they get to the castle and Van Helsing pins him up against a wall. He's like, please don't kill me. He's like, give me one reason why I shouldn't. Well, he just can't think of anything. That gets me every time. I think that's good.
It is fun. He's doing a good job of acting.
Yeah.
He's given a difficult task in this movie. Is Friar Carl, is that his name? Friar
yes.
Carl.
He's a friar. That's
is Friar
his main
Carl
joke.
like? Yeah. Is he an iconic piece of this movie? Like that, if they reboot Van Helsing, is the Friar Carl character coming back with?
Nah.
Because they're certainly hoping so. They wrote it like he is, and maybe he is.
He is supposed to be Van Helsing's sidekick on the mission with him all the time.
Yeah.
Like, looking at the end of this movie, skipping ahead a little bit, of just like, what's the plan? Like, I guess they're gonna go off and do another adventure.
Yeah.
But like, Carl's whole thing is he's like, I don't go in the field. Oh no, like David Wenham is having a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I do, maybe it's not too late. Maybe they do a Carl legacy sequel, where Van Helsing doesn't come back, but Carl does, and he's like worn out. And then he gets briefed. Parker, I thought of you when I watched it this time because the projector that they use is pretty funny. Like the effect they have to show him pictures of Kate Beckinsale and her brother.
Yeah.
Is pretty fun. Not really 1887.
No, it makes me laugh really hard when they pull up Dracula's portrait. Because I know it isn't this. Like, I know that they used a different, like, it's clearly the Vlad the Impaler portrait that they've used as reference. And they've repainted it, obviously, but it really just looks like a bad Photoshop of just a cutout of Richard Roxborough's face on the Vlad the Impaler portrait. And it gets me every time.
Yeah. Dracula's the son of the devil.
Yep, the son of the devil.
Carl says, well, we're going to go kill the son of the devil. Yes. And then they get to the village in Transylvania. Will, would you like to speak on Transylvania at this time?
Yeah, so I did a mission in Romania and lived in Transylvania for a while. And so when you show up to Transylvania, it's snowy and all the villagers come out and they try to stab you to death with pitchforks. And they all speak the Queen's English.
Right.
Of course.
And are ruled by a scary man in a castle. It is like Nosferatu. Us Transylvania heads this year were eating good in Nosferatu, and this is like just the antithesis of that, of like Transylvania falls under the same curse of like the American West of being a mythological place that is superimposed over a real place. There's Camelot, and then there's like was not a real place.
Yeah.
As far as I know, and then there's like Transylvania, which still exists and has big cities in it today, right? But Transylvania, you can do that version. You can go there, you can film, you can talk to Transylvanians, or you can just do the universal, build the set, look at one picture of Transylvania and go from there, and that works in its own interesting way. But they're all, I don't know if I have any like it's immoral to do the made up Transylvania takes. That's not my take to give, but this falls into that category of like we will put no thought into talking to any Hungarians or Romanians or anyone else about what this is as a real place beyond like Eastern European stereotypes that are entirely made up.
Right. Yeah. This also is our first major set piece into the movie. I mean, we get the bit with the werewolf and Anna and that, but that kind of that doesn't excite me at all. But at this point we have Van Helsing has arrived in Transylvania. He meets Anna, and then vampires immediately show up. It's Dracula's brides. Yeah. And there's a lot of lifting people into the sky, throwing a cow through a barn. They hit the woman lands on top of man bit twice within 20 seconds.
Yeah.
And then flip around, like it happens.
Yeah, they just do every sex position in 10 seconds and then keep moving.
Yeah.
I think this scene, the werewolf stuff is disheartening, but this might be the scene that loses it because at some point in the screenplay or on the set, someone had to have been like, hey, wait, isn't this a James Bond movie? And they have to just be like, don't worry about it. It'll be fine.
It's fine. This
is when it stops being James Bond. And
it does.
Just becomes action set pieces stitched together.
Something else that they say in the behind the scenes that I think is so telling of this time period and of this film is that the VFX artists talk about, they're like, yeah, well, back in the day, you were limited by what you could do physically in the real world. And now, with the advent of CGI, you have no limits. Like, the exact quote that this ILM artist has is, the only limit is your pocketbook. It's like, yeah, you can do anything. And this movie and this era of filmmaking is such a poster child for that, of just like, oh, we can do anything. We can put the camera anywhere. And not having any limitations often leads to just like a glut of excess and nothingness. And like looking at reviews at the time, that was what a lot of people were talking about. They're like, it's just wall-to-wall CGI that is kind of incomprehensible. Like, I was thinking that at the finale fight with the werewolf and vampire, like, it just becomes mush at a certain point. There is no visual clarity to most of the action in this film. And this vampire ambush is kind of the first real inklings of that. Because
Great line.
they're the same color as the sky, which is the same color as the ground, which is the same color as the buildings.
Yes.
Just a great line from a VFX artist who knew how to defend himself in the trial of history.
Yeah.
An underpaid VFX artist being like, you can do anything and make it look great if you pay me enough.
Yep. I am not at fault.
Yeah, because this doesn't look great. And also it dismantles everything that was exciting in the first act immediately of like automatic crossbow.
Yeah.
That must be really cool. No. He
can't
is
hit for
just
shit.
Firing wildly,
Just goes
hitting
clean through them when it does hit. Like,
nothing.
it is not a problem.
Yeah, it is, and then he has to reload. Like, it's just doing nothing.
Which, like, when you introduce 6 main villains in a movie very early on, there's no context for... Like, the Jekyll and Hyde fight does not convince me that Van Helsing is the best in the world at this. Like, he never gets to prove his competence and is always just like shocked to be losing from the first time we see him.
Yeah. Well, and also is constantly being told what to do by Carl or Anna or whoever. Like, Carl's the one who goes like, holy water at the church.
Yeah.
Like, and he's like, you know, and it's like, oh my, does he figure anything out? I don't know.
Yeah, he really can't think on his feet very well.
No.
Yeah, he's incompetent in a lot of ways, which is surprising. And like, yeah, there's this like,
but not in a way that's fun or makes it feel like he has to or like that's a setback for him. It's just that he's incompetent and the world adjusts accordingly.
Right, like at the end of this sequence, it's this whole big thing of she's like, he's the first person to kill a vampire in 100 years, which is so funny because the entire plot of the Valerius is that this dude, his son was Dracula, and Dracula made a pact with the devil, and so August Valerius, or whatever his name is, made a deal with God that said, hey, me and my family will not enter heaven until Dracula is defeated. I will atone for this. So this family has spent their entire lives being vampire hunters, and they suck at it. They're terrible vampire hunters. They're so bad at it. And it's just like, why are you like, you keep showing me people who are so fully out of their depth and don't give them the chance to prove themselves. You just offer new solutions, right? Like,
or make it part of their character,
right? That
they are so downtrodden.
Yes, like
he's just a monster hunting nepo baby.
Truly,
the
like
whole time.
It feels that, and like later in the movie, you know, she goes off on him, and she's like, "Oh, a stake through the heart, a crucifix. You think we didn't try that? We've done everything." And they don't come up with a clever solution. The clever solution is that Dracula, like,
well,
it's like if Dracula is using garlic-infused bullets to kill his enemies, and everybody's like, yeah, but hey, like, garlic's bad for him, but he's keeping it close by. And you like, why are you using werewolves? Why on earth are you employing werewolves? What are you
they're
doing?
The only thing that can kill you. And also just like, again, there is no solution that they have to think of because this movie drops the craziest lore within a few scenes. So just real quick, running quickly through this. Too Bad, So Sad. Just wanted to highlight when she says that.
I'm a big fan of Love, though. That one gets me. I like that line read quite a bit.
So
Let me tell you, there was a lot of echolalia going on in our screening.
Sure. I believe it. Theater Kids watching Van Helsing.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
I also noted Welcome to the Black Parade as Dracula. Mm-hmm. Upside down vampire stuff is a fun idea on paper, but it just does not work at execution.
No.
Where it's like Dracula and his brides hang out upside down. And I go, right. And I see that for you that met the goal of sexy because boobs hang down.
Right.
But it doesn't look good. and
they look so uncomfortable.
look
Like all the blood
uncomfortable.
is flushing to
It
their
looks
faces.
really bad.
looks
Like
really
not even
bad.
from like a visual effects standpoint.
It's just not
they
flattering.
look uncomfortable, and
Yeah.
it's unflattering on everybody. I like that his funny little ponytail hangs down though.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we already talked about Jackman and Beckinsale don't really have any chemistry in this.
Yeah.
And I know it's not a directing problem, or maybe it is. Is Stephen Sommers good at directing chemistry, or did he just get lucky?
I think he just lucked
with
out.
Fraser and Weiss.
I think he just lucked out.
Okay, because they are so good in The Mummy, and Jackman and Beckinsale are so not good in this. I just noted who are the Dwergi. What accent is
So
Jackman?
we're watching the movie,
Okay.
and this is another thing this movie does a lot of. Is
The
like
Dwergi are Jawas who helped Dracula.
yes,
Wow. Yeah.
and
That's
like
the setup.
and the thing is that this movie simultaneously over-explains and under-explains, right? Like every piece of dialogue is exposition. You know, it's like it's stuff we were talking about at the beginning. You know, you've already lost all your memories as penance for past sins. You know, all of this stuff. My favorite one being they're about to enter Dracula's castle, and she's I don't even know how she gets there. So they're talking about like my family journeying here long ago from across the sea. I've never been to the sea. I'll bet it's like they're about to walk into Dracula's castle and we need to put this little character beat. So the dialogue is riddled with this stuff, right?
Yeah.
But then also the movie will just toss in the most random stuff and just not explain any of it. Oh, so we're watching this movie and there's just the panning shot of all the Dwergi watching, and one of my friends goes, well, who are these guys? Like, who are these people?
And then Dracula says like, "Oh, the Dwergi."
Yeah,
but
that's
there's no
45 minutes
explanation.
later.
Yes,
That's
it
not
is.
in the scene.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Who
Nor
are
is
those
it an
guys?
explanation at all.
No.
It doesn't really explain anything. They are Mad Max Jawas though, and I do kind of love them.
Yeah, they're awesome.
I think it's really funny that she's like, we have no idea where Dracula's lair is, and then they get to Frankenstein's castle, and she's like, this is meant to be abandoned. I'm like, did you guys look?
You didn't check in the
Because-
castle next door?
You just didn't look, because I know
Yeah.
that this isn't Dracula's lair. Dracula's lair is behind a
Right.
mirror or whatever. It's in Narnia. But the Frankenstein castle, I'm like, no one was watching this.
It's been
No.
a year. It's
Like,
been
no
1 year since
one?
all this happened. Yeah, like
The black and white, really, they thought it would do them more credit of being able to both be like, this was 100 years ago, and this was
1 year ago.
well, what's
1 year
really great,
ago.
and they don't talk about this in the film, is that between 1887 and 1888, they did develop Technicolor, which was a big deal at the
That was
time.
huge, yeah.
Yeah, I did make that joke where it went to color, and my dad jokingly was like, why is it in color? And I was like, that's when they invented it.
That's what they have.
That's when color got invented. So they... Dracula's trying to make babies because he wants babies because he's like living forever. I'm bored. I want babies or whatever.
I guess.
And they are like, they find the sacks that are alien xenomorph
Matrix
pixies
pods.
from Harry Potter, Matrix
Yeah.
pods, whatever. And then like, Van Helsing and Dracula meet. And Dracula says, hello, Gabriel. And it's just, I wrote here, it's where you lose me. That's not true.
Yeah.
They lost me before. But
But
this
that's
is
where
truly,
they really make you mad.
this is where they ruin something. It's not like this movie
like,
was
why?
like great
Why are
before.
you telling me that James Bond is John the Baptist? What does that have to do with
Oh,
anything?
but what if he was? You and I have such history. And I was like, are you guys gonna kiss?
You get
And then
it?
Dracula's like, let me remind you of our history. And I go, are you guys gonna kiss?
He says as he takes his jacket off, I will
Yes.
also mark.
I will remind you. But then they
There
don't
might
get
be
to...
some Ben-Hur going on in here, where at least one of these is playing it
Do you think
So-
Richard
romantic.
was like, I'm playing it gay, and
I'm
Hugh
playing it
Jackman
gay.
has no idea?
Stephen and Sommers are two different people. Stephen directs, Sommers writes, and Sommers wrote it gay, but Stephen didn't know that.
Right. Yeah. And this is also where, this is what I alluded to in the intro, obviously, in which Dracula says, allow me to introduce myself. I am Count Vladislas Dragulia.
Yeah, why? Yeah, why? Yeah, why though? Why? Why can't you be? Why?
Why can't you be Dracula?
Why can't you be Dracula, the Dracula from Dracula?
I'm Dracula from Dracula. But instead he's Vladislas Dragulia. Like, why are you adding
He's
extra
not
shit?
Hans Frankensteiner. At like, we're not changing anything else.
But like, that's the other thing is like, to call forward, spoiler alert, like when the Iron Giant, when they like put all the extra shit on him to like mask him, it's like that, but with Dracula. It's like, well, what if we just put a little bit more on? I go, why?
Why are you doing that?
It makes no difference.
Just be a vampire.
Again,
be a Transylvania vampire. Nosferatu did it. They're like,
Yeah.
he's just a different Transylvania vampire. You can do that. But why keep Dracula, but unmoor yourself and use the portrait of Vlad Tepes that's very popular, but unmoor yourself from the historical figure entirely, which is like always interesting of like this guy who is an evil vampire man as the same guy who like staked 10,000 Ottomans. Like this guy's been evil forever.
Yeah. No, instead he's Vladislas, and he and Gabriel Van Helsing knew each other 400 years ago, and he's the reason that Dracula was killed.
Yeah.
And it's like, now there's a personal connection, and it's like, you don't know your own history, but I do. And it's like, what is that doing
I don't understand, from a writing perspective, what is the draw of Van Helsing as Monster Hunter if you give him a history with Dracula? Like, what makes that character interesting in the book is that he's been doing this for a long time with a lot of other stuff. And he's just like, oh, okay, here's something new I haven't encountered before, and I have to adapt to that.
Well,
right?
But he doesn't remember Dracula because God took his memories away. And at what point did he become a man? And at what point was he an angel? Because if Dracula is the son of the devil, in that he was the son of Anna's great-grandfather or whatever, and then made a deal with the devil, this is a story about an angel fighting the devil, but the angel is a werewolf who is also Van Helsing, and Dracula is the devil, but he's also a big vampire.
Just to show that they do have taste, they were like so proud of themselves of like, we have restraint and we can really keep this grounded. Because at some point, someone, I'm sure, raised the question of like, should he just be Jesus? Like, that is killing. Like, is this just about like Jesus Vampire Hunter?
Yeah.
And someone was like, no, that would be
in poor
ridiculous.
taste.
He's Gabriel.
And in poor taste.
He's Gabriel, which means nothing.
Nothing.
Again, if the climax is that he is using angel powers to defeat Dracula, maybe that makes sense. But Van Helsing randomly gets bitten by a werewolf, and that's what solves the problem.
There was a big conversation, like, on Reddit or something, people just having the conversation of, like, pieces of media that are frustrating because in order to follow the story, you have to do a lot of extra textual reading. You gotta be caught up in the comic book. You gotta whatever. Yeah. This movie, the fact that it requires you to read the Apocrypha in order to like to know what's going on is just crazy.
To get the most out of this movie, you need to have seen a good chunk of the Universal Monster movies, or at least be familiar with them. Mm-hmm. You need to have read the Apocrypha, and you need to yeah, great, awesome.
And then
guys.
they keep putting these weird little tongue-in-cheek things. So like, you can continue with the summary. I'll chime in when we get to this.
Okay, because I mean they escape. Dracula's babies blow up because the werewolf
they
isn't
didn't
enough.
have the right human battery hooked
right,
up.
and
no, I'm sorry. This is just my one. This is my last gripe. This is the last time I've got a big gripe. I'm coming in. I'll have new gripes, but this was my pre-prepared gripe.
Okay.
Monster movies work on the basic metaphor, the basic idea that a monster is a metaphor. Yep. That the monster represents some real thing that is scary or hard to look at about humanity. Mm-hmm. What is the metaphor of Dracula? Like, there's living forever, there's having lots of brides, there's having 10 million babies, there's ruling over a small Transylvanian village. Like, what is he? What Vampires are like, vampires are racism, or they're like sexual pressure from outside. Being a vampire means something.
Historically,
except in this movie.
Vampires are like xenophobia, the horror story. Because it's like, what if a foreigner came to your shores and started giving you the plague and drank your blood and used up all your resources? And it's like, oh, okay, well, I think we'll lose that at some point. And this movie presupposes, what if a vampire was evil? Was evil.
But if you go down that path though, like let's take a really wide swing on this. I'm getting the big baseball bat out on this.
Okay.
If this is 2004 and we're following that line, like the best I can say, and it's a horrible direction, is just like the xenophobia of like, yeah, foreigners will have lots and lots of babies and they will take over your country.
Yeah, he's he's the representation of post 9/11 American immigration panic, and
the only answer to fight him is to have God present you with a savior to free you from the devil.
No, but it's cool because our friend Parker is like, hey, every Halloween, let's gather around and watch the Universal monster movie about Birth of a Nation, the Christian nationalist monster movie starring Hugh Jackman.
The xenophobic Christian nationalist film Van Helsing, Parker. That's really fucked up of you.
Yeah. No, it's okay because the girls almost like kiss each other.
Yeah, it's okay, guys.
And Parker says that every time.
I say that every time.
He's always like, I can't wait to watch the girls almost kiss each other. But not really, because that would be gross. No, that's not what Parker says at all. He's actually, he doesn't say the last bit. He's actually just thrilled that they
Thanks for dialing back the character assassination, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I might come back with some more later. A commercial. So what I love is that they go to the mill where Frankenstein's monster died. Mm-hmm. I am not going to be able to just walk away from the reading that we just had on Van Helsing.
Yeah, yeah, that's
because
big.
the beauty of watching Van Helsing is that you never think that it's trying to say anything at all, and trying to put anything on it is like, immediately a problem.
Well, okay, so before we get to the mill, though, the scene right before this is Carl wakes up from the woman he's coerced into having sex with him, who seems to be super into it. I will grant. But he stumbles against a panel and this magic mural shows up. And again, this movie thinks it's for boomers. It thinks it's for the people who grew up watching these movies because it puts the Wolfman poem on the mural and then adds an extra 2 lines to the stanza to link in a vampire at the end. And it's just like, guys, nobody cares. Nobody cares about your Wolfsbane poem in 2004. Like, the 14-year-olds aren't going to get what you're going for, and the boomers checked out a while ago because this is so clearly not for them. Like, what are you doing? Who are you trying to appease here?
I mean, just the answer's there. Like, just his dad. This movie was so made to make one person very happy.
And he was dead before he could see
his deceased father. Which then means that this movie, and this is so cruel, but then it's for nobody. It really doesn't. It's playing to one guy's taste, and so then it just misses truly, I think, everyone else.
Yeah, truly. And so, yes, you're right. Carl does get to see a little animation of these guys fighting and reads the poem, and he goes, "Whoa, it's the poem from Wolfman." And then we go back to the mill.
Yeah.
They're walking to the mill and they're complaining. We get a little bit more backstory, whatever.
We get to see how ridiculously large this hat is when he puts it on her, and it's just giant.
She's drowning in it.
Yeah.
And then they fall through. And my favorite thing about this movie is that at this point it decides to start doing fade to blacks. Mm-hmm. But starting them this late in the film makes it feel like we're going to commercial break because they fall through. And then it's like commercial break.
Yeah, about halfway through editing the movie, they're like, "This is going straight to syndication."
Which also, side note about that,
needs a break.
A very rare Hollywood example of the producer being the editor, which is so wild to me.
I did not catch that.
The producer of this film also edited it, which is.
I feel like a producer shouldn't edit.
I didn't know
I
that
got
was
bad news for
legal.
you, Max. I think I think that's really bad news for that's really bad news for your film, bud.
Uh-oh. Well, my film's different because my editor also is a producer. But specifically in a studio picture, a
Right.
producer shouldn't be editing your film.
I certainly don't think so.
Anyway, my favorite thing about this is that they get the monster on. They get the monster on. What am I saying?
That's the like the pop song that they commissioned to play during the end credits.
It's true.
They get the
yeah,
monster on. The monster on.
That does sound like you're just kind of,
Yeah.
with the monster. But they meet the monster. I'd say he's got 3 copper teeth. How do you figure that? He's standing right behind you.
Except he's turned away and his face is hidden by a
Couldn't
hood.
see his teeth.
He can't see his teeth, pal.
He's Gabriel the Archangel. Maybe he can see his teeth. His world is a nightmare. He sees people's teeth all the time.
Ugh.
They have their little interaction, and then the werewolf sees that they've found Frankenstein's monster. So they have to get in a carriage. They're going across. This is what I was going to say. They get the creature on a carriage. That's what I was going to say, and then I realized that I had skipped over their whole interaction.
Yeah.
Fun that Hugh Jackman was like, what if the guy who played Judd in Oklahoma with me was the monster?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of fun.
He's
very theatrical.
It feels like he's in a
said
completely
he's a Tony
different
winner.
movie. Yeah, he's a Tony winner.
Okay.
And like
he's bringing gravitas to Frankenstein's
yeah, like
monster.
it's odd how much he wants this guy to be Hamlet, and I
Yes.
don't think that's a bad instinct. I think this is the wrong movie for it.
In
I don't
his
think the rest
mind,
of the movie
he's
picks
playing the modern Prometheus.
up. Yes.
In the movie's mind, he's the Xbox monster, baby.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
the
Like he's
Xbox
gonna sell some cereal.
He's the steampunk.
I'm the Master Chief.
He's the steampunk Master Chief monster.
It's crazy that Dracula's castle is in Minas Morgul. Like,
Okay, so the freaking maps, it's crazy to me. They don't even try. It's just the Lord of the Rings font on those map transitions.
It
I'm
is.
just like, wow, you guys are.
and the whole
Blatant.
castle is just
Yeah.
so ripped
Yeah.
from But a Workshop.
Yeah. Can I ask how Anna's carriage got over the chasm?
You can't. Moving
Because
on.
Hugh Jackman's carriage... Okay, all right.
Different
Well, all right.
bridge.
It's not that kind of movie.
Not that kind of movie.
Anna's hair only gets better and more glamorous every time we cut away and then come back.
Yeah.
And like it's just getting more luscious and more like a L'Oreal
curled.
box.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Hugh Jackman's hair gets worse between scenes. Clearly, I don't know, maybe there's reshoots on this. I'm sure there's some.
I hope so.
And then they have an agreement with Dracula's bride, his last remaining bride, to meet up and exchange the monster for Anna because they do get right. Is that
Yeah,
where we're at? Or,
yep.
right.
They kidnap Anna.
Yes.
Dracula, friend that Helsing gets bit.
Yeah, and Frankenstein's monster says, "Now you will become that which you have hunted so passionately." And I go, "You don't need to be doing all that.
It's okay, man.
It's Van Helsing."
Not that kind of movie.
And Parker, I do want to ask you, because every time we would watch this movie, you would be baffled by, in the cemetery, when they hide Frankenstein's monster in a little room, and then he's like, "We gotta go to the ball now. We're gonna get Anna back," and they won't even know where to find him.
Yeah.
A little hand pokes out of a grave. And previously, I feel like we would be irate at that means nothing. That is a vampire.
I get that, but none of it reads zombie every
what
time.
I'm saying is, it only read to me this time, and this is my 4th watch of the movie.
Yeah.
That I went, oh, it's a vampire.
It's a vampire, and they're all going to the masquerade.
But
Like, I
at no
get
point
it.
do vampires like sleep in the graveyard.
Graveyard.
In this movie.
Yeah.
Up
Dracula
until then.
sleeps in ice, which is also a weird aesthetic choice. I don't
He
get
does.
the ice
Well,
thing.
it's also how he travels.
I guess. Yeah, because what if a mirror isn't a mirror to him?
He's sleeping in his car. That's
He's
what he's
sleeping in his
doing.
car.
And it's quite sad. He doesn't want to talk about
That's true.
I just am saying this for ADHD's sake. When we get through the synopsis, I have a pitch that will solve this franchise.
I can't
just
wait.
ask me about that.
I can't
it.
wait to
Very
hear all about
excited.
it.
I mean, basically, we go to the ball.
Which is the
There's-
best scene in the movie.
Which is the best scene in the movie.
Really
and
good.
I really
Wait, hold on.
love-
The look away effect. Because I did click through to the ballroom, the what we're calling the best scene in the movie, to a frame where Hugh Jackman is trapezing in his little jester outfit, and it was the worst frame in the movie.
I do think it is funny too that they make such a big show out of that mirror shot, And repeatedly throughout the rest of the scene, there are 2 large mirrors on either side of the room, and you can see everybody in them. Anytime. It's the same thing as the finger effect later, where he holds up and he's missing a finger,
so
and they have
funny.
so many close-up of his hand, and he has all 5
so
fingers.
funny
this
when he holds
movie-
his hand up and is like, my ring, and we're like, what are you talking about?
The way this movie lives in my subconscious, though, is that I watched Twilight for the first time today, and that ends with like the pan down of Edward and Bella dancing together to their reflection in a puddle, and it was like, this would be a better movie if it was just Bella dancing alone and Edward's reflection was not in this puddle. That always hits.
Yeah, it always hits when a
Always
vampire
hits.
doesn't show up in a mirror. Yeah, I love the way that Dracula says, "Welcome to my summer palace," because I just love the implication of like, all these people are here because they love to come here to hang out.
On holiday.
And like, I like that for Anna, the reveal is this horrifying mirror shot in which she's the only person there. And for Van Helsing, it is just, welcome to my summer palace.
Yeah.
Everybody. And I just love that. It's not even summertime. I love it. And then, Frankenstein's monster gets brought in and he's screaming and yelling, really trying to be a really good performance of the creature. He takes the monster, Watergate, whatever. We're in the final act. They figure out, they go through the mirror. It's
Watergate?
Nixon's in this
Hold
film.
on. Why you can't just slip?
not Dracula.
Yeah, the Democrats break into the...
Yeah, they break into Dracula's lair and find all the vials. But they do realize that it's Super Mario 64 rules, and you just have to walk through.
Yep.
This little mirror painting thing. They go in. It's the opening of Toy Story 2 when they get the cure.
I love that. I love that the cure is in a Metroid power up every time.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
that's
truly.
what the Buzz Lightyear video game's playing off of too, right?
Yeah.
It's like the battery and the it's great. It's fantastic. There's a fight with Dracula's bride. I'm like getting sleepy remembering it right now.
You were talking about like in jumping back and then tying it to this of like the masquerade scene. It is remarkable to me that to memory, they do it at least 3 times, maybe 4, of Anna being overpowered and a vampire coming for her neck slowly and it being very erotic. And it's like, we do that beat at least 3 times because they do it in the initial one, they do it at the masquerade, and they do it again here. And I'm like, guys, just please let us do anything else. Give me a different beat of any kind.
And then they do when she's like, I'm going to kill you. And then Anna kills her and says, if you're going to kill somebody, do it instead of talking about it. And I go, you can't lampshade that now.
You can't now.
You've done that
Sorry.
5 times.
Yeah, we're at the finale.
And like the finale is the finale is the worst part of the movie by far.
Truly.
There is almost no fun to be had. And Frankenstein's monster swinging around and Carl's on the bridge.
It will always be fun to turn to someone. Again, in a group it's fun because it's fun to be like, his pants are CG dyed on. That's
You're right.
fun.
That is
because
the
it's
fun
fun
moment.
it's fun to not think about that Anna just dies in this and and that's it, and she's forever this beautiful tragic lost love. Whatever.
It doesn't
The fight
matter.
is bad, like you said, Parker. It's mushy.
It's just
bad.
like you can't. There's no visual clarity to any of this.
Yeah, and then
look up on your phone, on your computer, hands off. Not you guys specifically, but just whoever's listening to this. If you're driving, pull over. Look up Hugh Jackman as a werewolf in this.
Yeah,
and just enjoy it.
It's fascinating to me that the implication that Stephen Sommers was like he needs to be sexy implies that they did a few different designs, and Stephen Sommers must have been like, not sexy enough.
He's not hot enough. Sorry.
Like, what this means is that Stephen Sommers has a very specific idea of what a sexy werewolf looks like.
Yeah.
This werewolf has a snatched waist. It has pubic hair, which is crazy because it's covered in hair, and it has additional hair.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's
design.
wild. It's so baffling. And like, why is he an angel? Why does that matter?
Oh,
Why
right.
was he fighting the Romans?
Right, because that's the big thing, is that in this finale is when he is formally told,
Yeah.
you are Gabriel the Archangel.
It must have been such a curse, being the left hand of God.
and then you are just meant to put it together of like, oh, he didn't have his memories.
Yeah.
Oh, Van Helsing. So
But who took his memories? Like, at least the Wolverine thing,
Yes.
X-Men Origins is like, yeah, he got shot in the head with an adamantium bullet, and
but
we
like
just move
God
on.
sent Gabriel to Earth to be a monster hunter
I
and
guess.
erased his memories because that would make him a better
Impede
monster
the job,
He
I
hunter?
just Van Helsing hunting monsters. Just the idea of taking Van Helsing from being a very literary Dutch professor who's like 80 years old and making him young and hot and hunts vampires. That is a sufficiently interesting
That's enough.
leap with
Yeah.
the character.
It's
didn't need to
the
do
same
more.
reason that, like, in Nosferatu, when Willem Dafoe says, I've seen things that would make... What is it?
Like grown men crawl back into their mother's wombs or something.
Yeah, there's like a specific guy, like Isaac
Yeah.
Newton or some shit. There's a reason that we love that, and it's because Van Helsing is a cool fucking idea.
Yeah.
And this movie is like, well, what if he was also Hugh Jackman and had steampunk gadgets? I'm like, yeah, man. Sign
Yes.
me
And
up.
that's
then, like,
enough.
Now, what if he was also Gabriel the Archangel
And what if
And
he
a
was
werewolf.
and a werewolf? I go, you lost me.
You lost me, guys. You really lost me.
My
Like,
favorite thing about the ending of this movie, there's 3 things that happen in a row that I think are fantastic. 1, he's burning Anna's body like she's Darth Vader.
Yep.
And then he sees like wisps come off of her and looks shocked, which is to say Van Helsing is surprised that ghosts exist.
Yeah.
Even though at this point he has been directly told that he is an angel. And he has been presumably fighting monsters for a very long time. He's like, he looks shocked. He's like, oh my God, there's a life after this. There's a life after death. And then he looks,
The
and
Mufasa
then
moment.
she becomes a big face in the sky.
I do, as silly as this thing is, and it is very silly, I need them to just move the opacity slider a little bit more. Like, it's just, I have to
Just
squint
down
too
to
much.
100% opaque. Get that out of here.
Just get it out, please.
But like, it's her big face.
Yeah.
And then it's her kissing her brother. And then it's her big face again. And then she cries.
Yep.
And then Van Helsing's like, well, my theme is playing and it's time to go. And they
It
ride
also
off.
cracks me up that they couldn't give Frankenstein's monster a boat. They just said,
No.
here's 3 logs and a dream. See ya.
See ya, man. What's he up to?
Who knows?
What's he gonna do?
Hey, he's winning a
Can't
Tony. I
wait
can
to
tell you
find
that.
I guess
out.
he's got to go do the middle section of Frankenstein because he didn't do that earlier.
Yeah.
So I guess he's just gonna go live with a family for some time.
Me and my brothers needed him for a LAN party so we could play Halo 2 in our basement.
Yeah.
A true
So
modern
here's how we
Prometheus.
solve it.
Yeah, tell me.
Universal Studios, if you're listening, this is a pitch, TM official trademark.
Okay.
What does Universal love more than rebooting a franchise? It's rebooting multiple franchises in the same movie at the same time that no one asked for, with 2028's blockbuster comedy of the year, Abbott and Costello meet Van Helsing.
So, okay, I was going to bring this up at the top of the show. Because I was like, okay, who, like, what is the modern equivalent? I think we get Simon Pegg and Nick Frost.
Yeah.
I think Pegg and Frost meet Van Helsing.
Helsing.
I'm locked in.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
ready.
a good pitch. I like that a lot. I think that makes the most sense. We don't really... The only other candidates would be like if... God, like if Farrell and John C. Reilly had done a monster flick in the 2000s. Like,
Yeah.
that's another version of this. Like, ugh, man, no, you're right, Will. Let's bring them back with AI.
Let's do that.
Yeah,
Let's do that right now.
That's what I was thinking.
Hey, the TikTok kids, they be eating up who was on first. I know that about the
Yeah.
Who's on first has
Gen
never
Alpha.
been bigger.
No, because now it's like a young, hot Abbott and Costello,
Right.
glossy with digital creation.
Yeah.
These
Glenn
guys are gonna
Powell
have
plays
so
both
many layers of
characters.
skin, you cannot even believe
It's
how
awesome.
sexy it's gonna be.
It's so sexy. I think the best part of the movie, though, because it kills every time. It's
Yeah.
the best joke
Yeah.
in the movie, is that every year when we would watch this with a group, and I'm curious how this new group across the country reacted, Parker, when end of movie credits, written and directed by Stephen Sommers, in memory of my dad.
There were screams. There were whats. There was jumping up from couches. It maybe was the biggest moment of the night.
It's the best. It consistently is.
It's
Because-
why we keep coming back every year.
It's why you
It's-
let me do this to you
the
over
movie
and over
ends
again.
and you go through all 7 stages of grief, and then in memory of my dad hits, and you're like, let's run it back right now. There's no way a loving son made this movie. What?
My dad suggested that maybe we're reading that wrong, and this is a vengeful film.
It's a hit piece.
Oh,
like his
yeah.
dad loved Universal horror, and he's like, I'm going
I
to
will
ruin it.
destroy everything you love.
I have the keys to the kingdom, and I'm burning it down.
But it's what makes the movie worth watching every time.
Yeah.
Because you're always watching it with the knowledge of this is for his dad. Who is his dad?
Yeah.
Who was this guy? Why was he a Tim Robinson character? Why is he like, I'm a piece of shit. I used to be a piece. Like, that guy is Stephen Sommers' dad? Because he wanted to watch 1930s horror monsters be sexy in a 2004 film.
It's the craziest postscript I've ever seen on a film. Like, nothing tops it, truly.
Some might say the only. Like, they have these every now and then.
Yeah.
I've never seen it for someone that no one else knows.
Yeah.
Right. Or it feels like a personal dedication that feels separate from the movie.
Right, because, like, it's not like this is a cast or crew member, you know?
No. Or even at the end of the credits. Like, sometimes people will sneak it in there. But he very directly was like, the first thing I want people to know the minute the movie is over is that this is in memory of my dad.
Yeah.
And I just kind of have to take it. Every time you have to take a step back and reconsider everything you just watched.
It recontextualizes the whole thing. Like, it's a
does.
Christopher Nolan level, I need to watch this again right now.
Pull.
Right, kind of like a Knives Out level of like, oh, that's what it was doing the entire time.
And let me tell you, you will watch it a second time, being like, now that I need to think about his dad the whole time. And by the time you see Jekyll and Hyde, you will forget about it for some
You'll
reason.
forget.
You'll
Yeah.
forget.
Until you're in the finale again, and your heart will just sink.
It's exactly what you talked about, Will, of like the moment you look away from this movie, you forget it other than the vibe and the conceit. That's it.
Yeah.
Like,
and
the
the fun
second
that
this
you
movie
had
is over,
watching it.
yeah, right? Like, you're just like, oh, that was a really fun, silly
It's-
time with my friends. And then you forget about it for a year, and then I make us all relive it again.
In many ways, I imagine Hugh Jackman can really relate because it's the exact same thing as doing theater. In the sense that you do a show and you go, I hate this. Never let me do this again.
Yeah.
And then a year later you go, that was so
That
fun.
was so great. I got to do that.
I got to
again.
do that again. Right?
Yeah.
Van Helsing.
Van Helsing.
Good movie? and now it's time for the criteria part of the show in which we compare this movie to Citizen Kane.
I didn't tell you this beforehand, but we are going for the world record. This is speedrun any percent.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I'm ready for this. I think we can
Okay,
handle
I think-
it. I've been practicing my answers. I think we can do this.
Historical and technical
technical relevance.
No, bad.
How
Provides
well is it
nothing.
doing? How well is it doing what it's trying to do?
awfully, terribly.
The
like,
worst a movie's ever done.
Because it's not sexy.
It's not sexy. It's not James Bond. It's not
It's
steampunk.
not. It's not Universal.
It's not a
horror.
franchise.
It's not Universal
It's
horror.
not,
It's not
an
a
action
franchise.
vehicle for
Yeah.
Hugh Jackman.
Nope.
Nope.
None of
Great.
the above.
Great. Okay. And do you like it?
Yes.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I do,
I've looked
yeah.
away for 10 minutes. Let me turn it back on.
Yeah, it's pretty
No,
fun.
this sucks. Oh, no.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. It always looks better in your memory, and then you turn it on, you go, oh yeah, it's gray and it looks bad. It looks like boogers. Man. Yeah. Well, Parker, I think this is your burden. So
Yeah,
you,
I think
you
it is.
you excise it how you need to.
Van Helsing is not better than Citizen Kane.
What? No!
Guys, gals, and non-binary pals, it's not. It
I
just
can't
isn't.
believe this. You're fucking kidding
I
me.
know. It's crazy. A huge upset. A huge upset. Will, I need you, like... I know that you were subjected to watching this solo, and for that, I cannot apologize enough. However, I do, like... The reason we wanted you here is because this is the closest we can get to having that communal experience from across the country.
It matters. If you need a Halloween tradition, this is the one that will solve your problems. Get everyone you know and love to watch Van Helsing with you, and I promise everyone will have a great time.
It's true.
And they will
Did I ever
resent
tell
you
that...
for most of the rest of the year, apparently.
Yeah. Recently, Parker, Jude, my good friend and an old roommate, Jude, he got on Letterboxd, and I was supplying him with every movie we'd ever seen together so that he could backlog a little bit more. And I brought up Van Helsing because he came with me one year in 2022 to your party, and he very sincerely said, yeah, I didn't really like that very much. And I was like, I know. No,
Yeah.
wait, that's the point. Like, and I don't think we really talked about it, but I was like horrified at the idea that he was like, oh, I just don't know how to tell everybody that. Like,
Yeah,
I really
it's,
didn't enjoy it.
It was so interesting, like, walking in with this new group because, you know, I'm the film guy in this friend circle, and like I'm the one who is giving movie recommends, and they're asking my opinion on these things and stuff like that. And so this is the first movie we had them over to watch at our place. And I had to sit them all down before we started. I'm like, hey, just so you know, like, I'm sure Ellie has done a wonderful job of like pitching what this movie is and what this experience is going to be, but I need you to hear it from me. This movie is not sacred. I'm not showing this to you because I'm like, I think you'll find a lot to like get out of this. I think this will be a really enjoyable experience. It's a great Halloween watch. It's spooky. It's fun. It's got the vibes. Like, no, this is my Rocky Horror. This is my The Room. Like, I need the communal experience of letting people vocalize their feelings of this film in real time with a group of people, because it's just proven to be such a good time. And like, across the board, I've shown this to people of all walks of life, and everybody I've talked to has seemed to have a good time riffing on this movie together. And so I keep doing it.
Did your dad have fun, Max?
He did. Yeah, he'd seen it before. We had a great time. We had a lot of fun. I do just want to highlight really quick, Parker, that the way that you started of "this is not sacred to me" did have an energy that was immediately familiar to me, and I realized immediately it was the long-term nuclear waste warning message, which says, this place is a message, and part of a system of messages, pay attention to it. This place is not a place of honor. No highly esteemed deed is commemorated here. Nothing valued is here. What is here was dangerous and repulsive to us. This message is a warning about danger.
The Van Helsing DVD comes with giant concrete spiky pillars to just subconsciously communicate danger to future humans who may not speak English.
The danger is in a particular location. It increases towards a center. The center of danger is here. The danger is still present in your time as it was in ours.
Yeah.
And yeah, this place is best
that's
shunned
what
and
it
left
is,
uninhabited.
Yeah.
And yet every year Parker brings a bunch of us through like it's Stalker.
Yeah.
He
Right
just
into
guides
the
us through the zone.
Stalkers into the zone.
He's like, it might make all your dreams come true. I don't know.
I don't know. Good.
We'll have fun.
It's not that we hate you all year round for making us watch it. We just hate you within 24 hours of having to watch it. And
I
then the other
understand.
364 days are worth it.
We
That's
love
good.
it
I'm
because,
glad to hear
because
that.
by then we haven't seen it in a while and we go,
Yeah.
yeah, pretty fun.
It gets better every day.
This was a good time. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you, Will, for being here.
Thank
I'm
you
glad
so much,
you made
Bad.
it.
It's good to be here. I'm sorry, I have one last Van Helsing
Please.
thought. One time my dad wanted to get into making vanilla at home. And so he bought like liquor for the first time ever in his life, and he bought a bunch of brandy and slid open vanilla pods and put these vanilla pods in a ton of brandy, like a gallon of brandy and 5 vanilla pods. And so we'd try it every year, and every year we'd be like, this is still just brandy. Like, this is just brandy, and maybe next year it will have aged just the right amount to turn into delicious vanilla.
Yeah.
And that is what watching Van Helsing feels like.
Do you think that's what Stephen Sommers is trying to do here? Do you think every year his dad was like, I know that there's a sexy Frankenstein movie, and every year Stephen Sommers would be like, I just don't think you've cracked it yet, Dad. And then this movie he was like, I think I finally got
got
the
it.
vanilla.
I think
It's
in
not
there.
just brandy, it's vanilla. And we all went, that's
That's raw brandy.
That's just
That's
raw
just
brandy.
brandy, pal.
like the cheapest brandy.
I live in mortal fear of showing this to someone who cares deeply about this. Like, they watch it and have like a transcendent experience, and this connects with them on a huge emotional level. And I've just invited them to a party and given everybody ripe tomatoes and said, go crazy.
Yeah, if you don't want that to happen, I recommend you cease immediately.
Because you will find the chosen one.
You're on a track, Parker. You
Yeah.
know that, right? You just
I-
said that
It's
you
just
fear,
the law of large numbers.
you fear this outcome, and yet you continue to seek it.
I am driven on by forces I cannot comprehend.
You guys should see Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. Good movie.
Gonna go see it this week.
Good. Thanks everybody for listening.
Thanks for listening, folks.
Thanks, everybody.
to our Van Helsing episode. This was our bad movie episode.
Yep.
This year.
Max, what are we watching next time to
Next
get back
time,
on track?
we're gonna have another guest, and if you can believe it, it's my dad.
Wild.
Whoa!
We're getting
Van
Dave.
Helsing Part 2 next week?
Van Helsing
Yeah.
Redux.
No, actually, it's the Iron Giant. Brad Bird's The Iron Giant from 1999. Yeah, my dad. I've talked. We'll talk about it next time. But my dad and I have long talked about doing a podcast together, and then I just started one
Yeah.
with my friend instead.
Get wrecked, Dad.
Yeah, sorry about that. But
I'll leave it to
He's
Dave
very
and my will.
He's that's beautiful.
Yeah.
So
My-
I don't. So what do I?
You
don't
keep your spot. I'm just saying when I die, my
Oh.
host spot goes to Dave.
Oh, okay. Great.
Sorry, Will.
That's all right.
I-
I think this is when in the YouTube video you fade to black and it says a podcast by Max Bennion
Yeah.
In memory of
in memory.
Parker for my dad.
Who
Anyway,
is now my dad.
Who's now my dad. Anyway, yeah. So next time, Iron Giant. Everyone get excited. Love that movie.
Get hyped.
Get hyped.
Play
All right.
Van Helsing on the PlayStation 2.
There was an Xbox demo on the DVD.
Well, sure there was. He played it on the monster.
True.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.